Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E-Streaming and the ANZCAR Cup here for round 24 of the regular season. The final, well, the penultimate round of the regular season. We've got Daytona coming up next time, but the final road course of the regular season here at Watkins, Glen. I am, as Carl Wilkinson, with you. Joining me here tonight in the booth, I have Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how are you going tonight, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. A few technical issues on my end, but we've got over them, and I've been able to get on and enjoy another fantastic night's racing.
Always good when the technical issues aren't hindering you. And also up here in the booth, we've got Mr. Matty Hunter working on the cameras and doing all the stuff in the background. How you going, Matt?
Yeah, good, going good, Carl. Thank you.
Okay, so as we say, 2 rounds left, so penultimate round of the regular season. So the chase is coming up quickly, and we've got of course our drop rounds into account. So we have got our chase contenders sort of in the mix. But down towards the tail end, those final spots, they are up for grabs. Ruben Phelps and Luke Traherne are going to have to defend those spots against Paul Jackson and Gary Wellman. Those are the two that are sort of mathematically in with a chance of getting into the chase tonight, chase still with these 2 rounds left.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Um, Paul's pretty reasonable on the road courses on the circuits. I don't know about Luke. I've not had much to do with him on the road courses, but it's going to be interesting. It's only going to take one Ruben to have a bad night, or one of the other guys that are very close in points, and their chase is done.
Yeah, it's so easy to sort of have that happen, and especially because we've got Daytona next time out, and of course the big one is always lurking there. But the cars are getting ready to grid up at the moment. You can see them all getting ready to get onto the starting grid. So let's run through the starting order. So on the front row, taking pole position, it is Brenton Hobson, taking out the pole in the 88 with Neil Pearson on his outside. On row two, we have Dyson and Heddershide. On row three, it's Traherne and Douglas. On the fourth row, it's Foster and Micklemore. Fifth row, we have Skurlock and Wellman. Sixth row is Russell and Martin. Over onto the seventh row is Nankervis and Maddie Ray. On the eighth row, we have Dortnack and Phelps. Ninth row is Urquio and Lobb. Down a bit further to row 10, we have Koch and Clark. Row 11 is Curtis and Williams, Stevie Dub himself. Row 12 is Paul Jackson and Noddy Tompkins. And that rounds out our grid tonight. 24 runners here tonight at the Glen. Of course, Watkins Glen, a fantastic circuit, an absolute historic track, and one of my favourites at least. Not everybody's favourite though.
No, definitely right there, Carl. It's one of those tracks where on paper it looks fairly simple, but I can tell you now, coming down through the S's and down the back straight into the bus stop, you can get very loose and very taily. Um, and I'm looking forward to the first time into the bus stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And up through here, through the S's, as we're talking about, it is really a tricky, very tight section of track. It's deceptive. It's very high speed up there. And we've seen on these tyres that they can be tricky to get up to temperature sometimes at the first couple of laps. Speaking of which, track temperature tonight, we are looking at a cozy 39 degrees Celsius. So a bit of a warm track temp out there, 30 degrees air temperature. So they should get up to sort of to working temperature relatively fast, but that first lap is going to be a little bit sketchy up there, especially if you're running side by side. It's very easy to lose the tail, and because it is so narrow, it is very easy to have an accident. And if one of those front runners has an accident, it can really trickle down the rest of the grid.
Yeah, and that outer loop there, Carl. If you get that wrong, you can find yourself in the outside wall there, and it's not very nice. You've got to really get your line right through there.
Very much so, and one of the big things as well is sometimes there is the old track limits action as well, and we'll talk through about a little bit more in detail as we go through the race. But just be aware that, there are some sections on this track where you can run out a bit wide, but some sections will catch you off guard. The pace car is peeling in here. It's Hobson and Pearson on the front row as they come around the final corner, get down the start-finish straight, and we are going to be going green for round 24 of the ANZCAR Cup. And a good start there from Hobson. We've got 3 wide in the background. Foster looking to try and make a move early on, getting underneath the... Oh, Traher into Traher. Traher gets hit. Traher goes around. A big accident for Traher into Dave Douglas. Jason Mines out as well as Matty Ray. And I think Foster is involved in that one as well. There's a huge accident in turn 1.
Oh, the track is almost blocked. It's that big.
Dave Douglas facing the wrong way there. It's not looking real good. There's a lot of guys in that are in the chase that are pretty safe, but yeah, it's definitely opened the tail end of that chase up for grabs.
I'll just see if I can jump back and grab a replay and let's try and see what's going on there.
Well, sort of tail end of that one. So the initial incident is Foster into Traher, and that's what sort of caused it. And then there's actually a secondary accident a bit further back with Jason Martin. So Jason Martin actually has a spin as well, a little bit further back. I think he might have been just getting a bit too hard on the brakes. So Daniel Heddershide's gone into the side of Traher by the looks of it. That's Jason Martin just locking up, trying to avoid the accident and then causing a secondary one. But the initial accident is up the front, and that's between Heddershide and Traher. And Heddershide's just got on the outside. Traher's got hit. He's gone down into Foster, and they've bounced into each other, and that's what's caused the big accident there. And that has taken out a lot of those front runners. That's exactly what we were saying about the chase runners as well. That's Luke Traher, who is battling for that P10 in the chase. That's him effectively out of this race. This could be very good news for people like Gary Wellman, who is currently running up in 8th.
Oh, that's big. That's unlucky for Dave being hit there by Luke, and then Dave in the Skurlock. That's excuse me. It's not what they would have wanted. They would have wanted to really cement their place in that chase.
Very much so. The only cars to get through that relatively unscathed was Jaden Russell, Daniel Heddershide, Pearson, Dyson, and Hobson. So the 5 cars managed to get through that accident without getting caught up in it. The rest of them all got some form of damage. So there's a lot of damaged cars out there now, and that's going to be very tricky because you've got to work out how badly damaged the car is, what's going on with it. It can really affect the tyre wear, how the race runs. Good battles going on at the moment on track. We've got the lead at the moment, Hobson and Dyson fighting away. Then a bit further back, we have Paul Jackson, Norman Clark, and Tristan Koch all having a very big battle at the moment, with Noddy Tompkins in that group as well. So there's lots of fighting going on at the track at the moment. And as I said, those drivers that are just sitting on the outskirts of the chase, so that's your Paul Jackson and your Gary Wellman, they're going to hope that this one goes well for them, as we've lost Luke Traher from this race, unfortunately. Ruben Phelps is up there in 10th as well, so that is good news for him. As who was that into the wall there? Is that Mirko Dortnak has had a big moment going out of the bus stop, lost the back end coming out of the bus stop, and has had a big accident into the wall. I think that's his night over and done with as well.
Yeah, the AMCAR railing around here is unforgivable. You can see that in the real life race, and as we said, Carl, on many a night through the season, the current damage model, you'll rip a front wheel off or rip your nose off if you get into those railings. Yeah,
it really piles up the damage, and it can really affect the car, and it's the secondary things that affect it as well. It's damage to, when you've got damage to suspension, it can really affect how your tyres wear. It can change the handling of the car, and it can really throw you out sometimes. So all of those drivers with damage are going to have a really rough night.
Yeah, definitely. And Brenton has already got a 1.1 second gap over Dyson, and then it's a further 1.4 seconds back to Pearson. So yeah, it's helped these three guys get a bit of a gap, because it's then a big gap back to fourth place with a 3.6.
Oh, as we've got an accident there between, looks like, is that Noddy and Norman Clark there?
Oh, those cars don't look too good. They're, let's see if we can jump back and have a look there. Still trying to catch my breath and catch up on everything that's been going on, really. It's been, there has been a lot going on in a short amount of time.
Oh, so Noddy's just got, just as he comes off the exit here, he slips the curb, and that spins the car around. And unfortunately, Norman was on the scene of that accident. Paul Jackson got unscathed through that. Norman Clark heavy in the barriers. That is his engine toast, I reckon. You can just see here he goes nose into the tyre barrier, and the back end of that car just lifts itself up as he clatters into there. That is that car. Very much Dunzo, I think.
Yes.
Yes. It's a Gonzo car. It's had a nose job. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that's Norman's night's over.
Yeah, as well as Noddy as well. His the front of that, the front suspension was not looking good on that car, with the wheels pointing in all kinds of directions, which is not what you want on a race car.
No, definitely not. I'm just trying to get hold of Norman to see if we can get him up here into the booth and have a chat with him.
Sure thing. So yeah, action-packed first couple of laps, trying to catch up on everything. As I said, big things are with some of the chase drivers, of course, losing Traher this early on. That's a big one there. Also, of course, with Foster dropping down so far, that's going to help Neil Pearson. He's just 1 point behind Foster for the top 3 position in the chase. So that's an extra point going into the chase if he can nab that one away from Foster. So, it's a lot of different things going on at the moment, but we have a race up the front. Hobson is leading. He's managed to bring it out by 1.7 seconds, pulling away a bit from Neil Pearson. But we have seen in the past, sometimes if you go a bit too hard too soon on these tyres, they sort of can go a little bit off towards the tail end of the race. So sometimes going a little bit easier in the early stages can be a benefit, getting the heat cycles through. So sometimes that sort of slowly approaching the initial stages can pay off a little bit later. But you've got to say, at the moment, Hobson is the man that is on the mission, and he is flying away in the lead at the moment.
Yeah, he is. There's only these 3 cars really in it for the win, I'd say. In terms of fuel mileage, we're looking around about 32 to 34 laps. So there's definitely no chance of making it home on one pit stop, or no chance of making it home on no pit stop. So everyone will be going foot flat, not saving gas, probably pitting, when the tank runs out, and getting fuel only, no tyres, I'd say.
Yeah, that's going to be the big one. Of course, you can get that damage repaired as well, and that might be a big one for people, is getting some of that damage repaired. Got a bit of race going on a little bit further back for 6th place, and that's between Micklemore and Lobb at the moment. Those two are nose to tail as it stands, and really putting on a good little bit of action. A little bit further back, and Darren Lobbs had a really decent debut season for the Cup Series. 18 races, and he's up in P13 in the overall standings. A really good run from himself. Some really consistent finishes, especially on the road courses.
And he's had a few unfortunate finishes as well. He's been unfortunately collected or tagged in a few incidents, not of his own fault, and that's cost him some good finishes as well.
Very much so, and it's the ebb and flow of racing sometimes. You sometimes get caught up in those accidents, and sometimes you get lucky, and it appears that he's got relatively lucky as there's not too much damage on that car. He's got a lot less front end damage than Mr. Josh Micklemore, who is defending like a boss there as they go into the bus stop, positioning that car right in the middle of the racing line, stopping Lobb to getting through there, really positioning that car well. But a lot of front end damage on that of Mr. Micklemore's car, and you've got to be careful with that, because sometimes it can affect the old radiator and sometimes cause temperature issues. and that's never fun if you have to nurse a car home with temperature issues. A little bit further back, you'll have seen in the notice, Gary Wellman is sitting there in 8th position, just ahead of Edward Foster and Michael Skurlock. Foster has got a relatively straight car, considering he was sort of in that the sort of second corner accident. So it's relatively clean looking from the outside, a little bit cleaner than that of Skurlock behind him, but he has lost a couple of positions from that one. And then Ruben Phelps sitting there up in 11th position as well, just on the tail of Skurlock, trying to keep hold of there. But he'll be pretty happy with that one, as he's sort of in a nice position at the moment, and he's obviously going to finish ahead of Luke Trahere, so that's going to help him in his chances of getting into the chase.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I'm just trying to do some sums here with the standings and different things just to see where, if Gary ended up finishing where he is, where he's going to end up in the championship.
You can need to grow some more toes and fingers, I think.
I think so. Yeah. What do you think? He's 32 points behind Paul Jackson. So he may sneak into 10th if they finish the way they are at the moment. So that accident will throw some curveballs into this chase.
Will do indeed. And look, one of the things coming up next, of course, is Daytona, and we know that Sim boys tend to do well on the old super speedways, so that could be very good news for Gary Wellman. Of course, super speedways can be a bit of a potluck affair. It's there's always that big accident waiting to happen, but we have seen Wellman do very well on the super speedways in the past, so that could be really beneficial for him if he can get close to that top 10. He's in with a shout of getting into the chase this season, and that would be a great achievement for him. He'll be very happy with that one. But he's currently got Foster all over the back of him. Foster is looking to get past him now, and that's going to take points away from him, crucially. So, every point that he drops is not going to help him out, but still going to be earning more points than he's going to be losing at the moment. So he's just going to want a strong finish tonight.
Yeah, definitely. So you just got to put yourself into that position for next week. As you said, the big one at Daytona is always just around the corner, and anything can happen on the super speedways.
Yeah, that is so very true. It is one of those things where you never know what's going to happen. We've seen cars that have been absolute wrecks. I think back to the beginning of the year and Andrew Dyson taking the victory in the end with a car that had, I think, one panel left on the bodywork. As Foster makes a move on Wellman down to the bus stop, makes a beautiful move there, gets nice on the entry curve to the bus stop and gets through cleanly.
Yeah, you can be quite aggressive on the curbs with this new scan of the track in this car. You can really throw it through there.
Yeah, it's a lovely corner to get right. Those corners getting right is fantastic feeling. When you get them wrong, though, not so much fun. And you'll see the cars just drifting out a little bit as they go through some corners. As we said, the key to this place is knowing where the off tracks are and where you can take advantage of them. As Darren Lobbs looks to make a move down the inside, Josh Mickelmore to turn one. Mickelmore just manages to defend that one. And turn one's one of those one of those corners you have to watch out for. If you go wide there, you will end up with an off-track quite quickly. Coming up through the S's now we go. Uphill, it's a very steep climb up here, and you get a nice draft off the exit of the corner. You'll see Lobb closing up as they go down the straight here towards the bus stop chicane. You can see Lobb getting closer. Mickelmore on the brakes nice and late. They skip across the curves here, go through this section. Then down to the outer loop, the carousel section, the long right-hander. You just got to wait until you get mid-corner, put your foot down. There's a nice bit of track there that you can use. You can actually go quite far off the track there, and you won't get a penalty for it. You take a lot of road on the exit. As we come down to turn 6, Again, watch for the exit here and turn 7 because you can get an off track going a little bit wide in those sections. Turn 7, can't really go too wide here because there is a barrier on the outside. So if you go wide there, you're just going to end up wrecking the car. But that is a lap of Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it's a nice flowing track if you can get it right. I quite enjoy it, like yourself, Carl. There's a lot of little challenges, and as I said, on paper it looks very simple, but to do it, it's very hard, and to do it fast.
Absolutely. To be fast here, you've got to be very brave, and you've got to be in the right position, as Darren Lobbs looks to be in that position now. Down the inside he goes. Really nicely done there for Lob. Just absolutely positions that car, just zips right through. And Mickelmore had to ease off a little bit, and he lost time to Foster for that. So Foster's now closed the gap on Mickelmore, and he's going to be looking at getting himself up and past. Up at the front, though, Brenton Hobson has managed to get a good 3.5 second lead. He is flying at the moment. Very nice lead, as they're just getting past Paul Jackson. Paul Jackson falling down a lap now, so he's just fallen down a lap. Andrew Dyson, 3.5 seconds behind at the moment in the orange flavoured DPR car. Neil Pearson, 6 seconds off the lead in third position in the red flavoured DPR machine, with Daniel Heddershide in the 035 Natari in fourth position, and Jaden Russell having he managed to pick his way through that early accident perfectly and move himself up into fifth position, gaining 6 positions at the start. Same as Darren Lobb, he picked his way perfectly through that carnage, gaining 12 positions so far in this race. Darren Lobb, a really good job from him. Meanwhile, Foster's making a move on Mickelmore, looks to make the move through the S's, through a bus stop again, and again makes that move. Beautiful job there. Mickelmore had nowhere to go. Foster threw him the dummy. Mickelmore could not move under the braking zone. Nice clean pass, nice clean defending, very nice driving there from everybody.
Yeah, Josh is falling back a little bit at the moment. He not sure if that's something with the car, with the damage that he might have that could be causing that, but he's sort of fallen back now. He's been passed by Lobb and Foster, and now Wellman and Skurlock are looming up in the mirror for him.
Yeah, they've definitely caught onto. Gary Wellman dropped off quite a bit, sort of when he got passed by Foster, but then they started clawing his way back up to Mickelmore. So it's just the times is just dropping away a little bit for Josh there, and he's just seems to be struggling. And I hope it's not I hope it's not calling it issues for him, because as I say, it's never fun having to nurse a car home when you've got a little bit of a calling issue. But he's sort of relatively on pace at the moment. But yeah, definitely probably the car that's looking to be struggling the most at this stage of the race. We've got 30 laps remaining here tonight. So we've 16 laps down, 30 laps remaining. As Mickelmore tries to make a move on Gary Wellman now. Skurlock's got a great run on Gary Wellman as they come out of the outer loop. Down through turn 6 into the final corner of turn 7. Not an easy place to pass, but it's a good place to set up for turn 1. Skurlock goes very wide. He's going to try and get a bit better run off the exit there, try and get a little bit more speed. Will he go for the dive bomb down the inside of turn 1? It's a downhill braking zone, very easy to lock up those front wheels, and he just eases off a little bit there. Not going to make the move here this time, but he could be looking to set Wellman up in the bus stop, which seems to be the favoured overtaking spot this race.
Yeah, I've just done some quick calculations. With Luke Trahere out of the race, no matter, Paul Jackson just has to finish the race. He will then move into 10th ahead of Luke Trahere, and Gary Wellman will have to I don't think he'll catch him. If he stays in the top 10, then he's got a good chance of jumping into 11th.
Yeah, it's gonna be a boost at least going into Daytona and give him more of a chance. But I think it's gonna be very tricky to jump up into the 10th spot at least tonight. The one, as I say, probably the man that's going to help most is going to be Ruben Phelps. This is really going to help sort of secure that 9th position in the chase tonight, and that's going to be something very useful for him. As Skurlock makes the move down to turn 1, late braking there for Skurley, gets the moustache underneath Gary Wellman and slides that one through. So just looking...
Nice pass
sorry,
there. There was a nice pass there set up by the a good exit on the last corner of the lap, and then big run down the straight, and had that overlap for the turn into the corner on turn 1.
There's some real good spots you can get that pass done. That being one into the bus stop. If you can get your nose just on the inside going into the bus stop, another great spot to make a pass. And then of course coming through the S's. I have seen someone go around the outside in the S's, but you need to be very brave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very risky manoeuvre, that one, and it's one of those ones that can really cost you time. Meanwhile, Foster's looking at moving up past Darren Lobb at the moment as well, so we've got battles going on all across the track. And you get a great picture here as Skurlock makes a move on Micklemore now, down the inside again, almost a carbon copy of the prior lap. Beautiful job done there by Skurley. Gets that one done, and Wellman's looking to also capitalise on that. He might be able to do it up through the S's and maybe able to do it through the bus stop if he is, if he's confident on those brakes, of course.
I think he's just a little bit too far back. He really needs to be right up under that rear wing to get that pass done into there.
Yeah, he needs to set him up, get a good exit on the last corner of the lap, and then use that momentum down the front straight and get it done on to turn 1.
Yeah, and like you just said there before, Carl, you could just see how fast Skurlock went off there, coming out of that outer loop. He was right out over the ripple strip and.
Oh, just jumping towards Foster and Lobb at the moment. Foster got a nice exit out the final corner. It's going to be a drag race down the front straight here. Foster absolutely caught Lobb napping on the exit of turn number 7. Got down the inside. Beautiful job by Foster. He had such a great drive off the corner. Lovely pass there from Foster.
Definitely a good setup there for Foster. And he's got some of the speed back.
He has, but he might have just cost himself a little bit of that speed because he just made a big bit of contact up through the S's. But I think Darren Lobb did the same thing. So both himself and Lobb copying each other up through the S's. They make heavy contact with the right front, but they look to be going in the right direction. Those wheels seem to be spinning in the right way, so that's something at least. But yeah, that would have been a very scary moment for both those drivers. When the car is going out of control up through the S's, it is never a fun feeling.
Yeah. Some good news, Carl. The gentleman of racer is back out on track, Norman Clark. He's a lot slower, but he's back out there circulating.
He's got a bumper again.
He's got a bumper and an engine in that car, which is surprising.
Unfortunately, he is 12 laps down on the leaders.
I think he's running it around on the old starter motor at the moment.
And another car back out there by the looks is Jason Martin in the purple 21. 18 laps down, and Stephen Williams still sitting in pit road.
Yeah, I was just going to say the only one still in pit road looks like it's Stevie Dubb.
Of course, there's still enough laps here to make a few positions if people make some big mistakes, and it's not without question that they can happen. Just looking on track at the moment for sort of close battles. Probably the closest at the moment is between Heddershide and Russell. That's a relatively...
Oh! Sorry, Riley's just come through the bus stop and he's and got it all wrong there out in the grass on the inside, and really almost hit the outside wall as he come off the grass.
As we jump to the replay here, and Yeah, this is what we were talking about before. This bus stop is great when you get it right, but when you get it wrong, it is a scary, scary corner. So gets the front clip okay, but he's just going to clip a little bit too hard there. Loses the car, gets the traction wrong, runs wide into the exit, goes onto the grass. There's a huge bump on the exit there. He managed to save that one beautifully. Great save there from Riley. But I imagine that would definitely be a bit of a teeth clencher there.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like to be coming through there like that. Would not be favourable.
Going out of the bus stop sideways across the grass is never a fun experience. And it usually ends 9 times out of 10. I think it ends in tragedy. Ends up okay. Jaden Russell coming into pit lane. Jaden Russell is the first to come into pit lane from the top group. So he's decided to pull the pin early here on lap 22. So 24 laps remaining. Is Jaden Russell going to change tyres, I wonder?
I don't think there'd be any benefit to it. Like we've seen, Carl, that going on the cold tyres, just it tends to push you back further.
I think it would depend on how hard you are on your tyres. I know the guys up in front will be pretty good at looking after their tyres, so they won't change. But Jaden didn't change his tyres then either. Fuel only.
Yeah, so just taking a splash of fuel there and deciding that he's going to come in a little bit earlier, and it's going to depend where he comes out now. He needs to come out into nice clean air to make this one work, because he was battling, sort of getting close to Daniel Hederscheid there, and if he can get out and get into a relatively clean spot, which he has, then he might be able to run some laps and possibly close the gap a little bit to Mr. Hederscheid and get a little bit closer once he comes into pit lane. So a 36.3 second lane time for Jaden Russell. So that gives you an idea of how long you're going to lose in the pit stop. Oh, as Hederscheid makes a bit of a mistake on the exit of turn 1. That's going to cost him a lot of time, and that could be crucial now. Just goes very late into the braking, just runs a bit wide, and that is going to cost him a bit of time here. You can see that he just runs out wide, has to lift it off the car. Probably might have gotten a slight slowdown from that, or just had to lift off a little bit there. And that is going to cost him time, crucially. And that could be the thing that makes up Jaden Russell's time on him. So we'll have to see when he comes into pit lane if Jaden Russell can actually jump him in the pit stop now.
I'm just watching Skurlock and Darren Lobb. That's Skurlo is closing up, then Darren's getting that little bit of a gap back to him. But I can tell you, Skurlock's not mucking around. He definitely wants that position.
Skurlock's not known for fighting hard for positions.
I don't know what reality you're in. He's in the pit.
Skurlock's on the pits.
I wonder if he's going to take tyres, because he's been pushing fairly hard. So he may take tyres here.
I wonder if anybody will take the gamble of a fresh set. It is a big gamble. I think Gary Wellman may have taken tyres. So by the looks of it, Gary Wellman did take tyres. So he's going to be our idea for sort of what fresh tyres can do. Skurlock didn't take tyres, so he's just taking fuel only. But we'll see how Gary Wellman's laps go. But currently, up front, Andrew Dyson is setting. He's just set the fastest lap of the race with a 10.4, 1 minute 10 seconds, 1.104 second lap. So a really fast lap there from Daiso. A good couple hundredths faster than Hobson's fastest lap. They're sort of trading those fast laps at the moment up the front, but this is where the fuel starts to drop off though as well. So the cars are a bit lighter now, of course, so you can get a little bit more speed out of them. Hobson also had to clear a lot of traffic as well, so Dyson's now caught up to that traffic, and I wonder if we'll see him dip into pit lane now and take advantage of this this to just clear the traffic. No, he's going to stick it out there. So he's going to have to clear that traffic on track, and that can be tricky to do. I think Dyson would have been maybe better off coming into pit lane there and getting his pit stop done and not have to weave his way through the traffic, because although they're being very kind to him, he is going to lose a little bit of time here.
Yeah, definitely, and don't forget on this too, you get into the passing flag, so you really need to get out of the road of these faster guys.
You do, but see here with Jackson just in front of Dyson, and that's costing him time right there. Jackson gets out the way, but it's just cost him time all the way through there, and Dyson has lost a good 1.5 seconds in that lap. So that's how costly that lap was, getting past those lapped cars. He's lost a good 1.5 seconds in that lap, so that was a costly one. And I wonder if he'd come into pit lane and got the fuel in the car and sort of avoided those lapped cars, if he maybe could have taken a little bit of an advantage there. So maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity there for Dyson. But I think he just wants to make the move out on track, try and actually do it on the track rather than in pit lane, and try and actually take the fight to Hobbo at the moment, who is pushing very hard. Really taking advantage of all of the track at the moment, Hobson. Really, really fun drive there.
Yeah, the top three drivers are all pushing pretty hard at the moment. They're all in the around the low 111s or even in the 110s. As that fuel is burning off, the cars are getting faster and faster.
They are, and just looking at the lap times, look down at Gary Wellman's lap times, and he's in the 112s at the moment, 112, well, almost 113. So he is definitely not up to speed, and I reckon he's actually a little bit slower than he was on his older set of tyres. So very much the case of the again, it's a sort of it's a strange thing to say, but it's just that tyre wear just sort of it's not really there with these new low-profile tyres, and you lose time coming into pit lane, slapping on some new tyres because of because they're cold. Pearson into pit lane now. He's going to come in for his stop. Dyson just did a 1:10.360, fastest lap of the race again. He is absolutely flying at the moment. He's managed to close the gap a little bit on Hobson in front. Hobson is still going at some pace though. They are very much trading best laps at the moment. They're very close to each other, just a 1/10 of a second covering them on lap times at the moment.
You can see the guys that have had a lot of the road experience, and it's coming. I hate to say it, but the cream's coming to the top for these blokes.
Pearson's taken tyres. I think that might have been a little mistake from him. Maybe he just forgot to unclick the box. But it will be interesting to see what Pearson can do on those tyres, because we know that he is quick on the road courses. His fastest lap is a 1:10.7. So we'll see if those fresh tyres actually do have any advantage to them him.
I think he might have gambled a bit. I think he was kind of in no man's land where he couldn't really catch the front, and he's quite a way ahead of the guys and behind him. So grab 4 tyres and see if it makes a difference.
Yeah,
he's got nothing to lose really.
Worth that roll of the dice a little bit, and it'll be useful information to his teammates as well. Sort of let them know what new tyres are like. I'm sure they'll if asked, he'll let somebody know up front. That's what teammates are for, of course. You use them as guinea pigs when you can.
Well, he's done that pit stop and he's still come out in 4th place. So yeah, he hasn't really lost much at all.
No, we'll see on the next few laps what he can do lap time, if he's any faster on those tyres. Of course, won't be representative this time round, but next lap we will get a bit of a better idea. But as I said, it's just been the story this season with these new profile tyres that it's more so tyre temperature is the key rather than tyre wear. These tyres, they tend to really want to have temperature rather than when worrying about the wear rate of them. They tend to last a race distance.
It's
So
a
obviously
weird,
Pierce.
it's a weird thing for a stock car on a road course to have no tyre wear. That's for sure.
It is. It throws you out, doesn't it? It sort of makes you question everything you know in motorsport.
Well, you just see that when people who haven't driven these for a while, they come in and they change tyres and pit stops because they don't know that you can actually make it. The expectation is that you can't.
Yeah, and it's very much similar on the ovals as well with the tyre wear. They really can get some sort of it can really change things up a little bit, and the cold tyres are, I think, the biggest factor as well in that. So cold tyres really do make a difference with these cars. As you see, Jaden Russell just ahead of his teammate Hobson there. Russell has been in pit lane. Hobson, meanwhile, is staying out and just getting a nice little bit of a tow from his teammate down the front straight. And Russell will really stick to the outside there, let Hobson through. As Hobson moves up, now up just behind Josh Micklemore, so that's everybody up to P8 lapped at the moment. So these boys are absolutely on a flyer. They are going hammer and tongs, really going for it. Neil Pearson last time round was a 10.96. Those fresh tyres not really doing anything to the lap times. That's about the same time as he was setting, if not a little bit slower than he was setting on the warm tyres. So I think the big battle to watch out for is going to be Daniel Hedershide and Darren Lobb. That's going to be the one to look out for in the pit stops. As Michael Skurlock now is just catching up to Ruben Phelps, I believe. So he's just behind Ruben with Paul Jackson there as well.
Yeah, it's
Hobson.
Jamie Nankervis there, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So Paul Jackson in 231 and Jamie Nankervis in the 8 car there, battling for position. Pretty much the closest battle on the track at the moment.
As we've got a new leader, as Brenton Hobson has come into pit lane to get that fuel done. Dyson has stayed out on track to go another lap, so he's managed to keep it out a little bit longer than Hobson, who is just going to be taking fuel by the looks of it. So that's probably the best idea. And of course, they've stayed out a little bit longer, so they can be stationary a little bit less time, a little bit less fuel to take on board. But Dyson will crucially get a bonus point as well for leading a lap, so that's always a nice thing to get. And Dyson's got a healthy lead at the front of the championship as well, so looks like he is set in the chase at the moment. Foster coming into pit lane now as well, as Darren Lobb is coming in. Yeah, Darren Lobb is coming in. Yeah, sorry. I mixed him up with Jaden Russell there for a moment. Darren Lobb's coming in as well, so Foster and Lobb in at the same time. So yeah, J. Russ and Hedershide, I think, is going to be the close battle once Hedershide comes into pit lane. And I think that Jaden Russell might just be ahead of Hedershide if he hits his marks and gets that pit stop done absolutely perfectly.
Headshots coming into the pits now.
So this will be the interesting one on the exit, is how close is Jaden Russell. Jaden Russell at the moment is just coming down to turn number 6. It's just behind Josh Micklemore at the moment. You can see Andrew Dyson just behind him as well. So coming through the corners, Daniel Hedershide just getting to his stall. He's stationary now. He's getting the fuel put into the car. J. Russ is on the start-finish straight. Looks like Russell might be able to take this position from Hedershide. Hedershide just leaving his box now, and Jaden Russell is going to get past and take the position from Daniel Hedershide there.
He's made that done. And in the background there, we saw Dyson and Micklemore were both pitting, and
Lachlan Oakbio as well.
these will be the last of our pit stoppers, I think. Let's say cycle through. We'll go through the pit stop times.
Dyson just comes out behind Micklemore there. That is going to cost him a little bit of time. That is going to just be that little bit of a cork in the bottle for him on the exit of pit lane there and just up through the S's. So that's going to help Hobson out a little bit, who is back in the lead of this race, and he's got a lead of 4 seconds and 20 seconds. You'll see Dyson shoot past Micklemore now as they've got up through the tricky section, and Micklemore will get out the way. Now it's nice and easy to do so. But that's helped Hobson out, just get a little bit more of a lead. So that has really helped Hobson out there. So 11, well, just gone 11 laps to go now. So I think Dyson is going to be going full hammer and tongue now towards Hobson, trying to get the trying to close that gap. And I'd say the same would be for the battle between Heddershide and Russell as well. J. Russ taking that position from Daniel Heddershide, and those two will be looking to try and get those positions reversed or have a little bit of a fight on their hands. Neil Pearson, meanwhile, is just sort of in no man's land. He's about 20 seconds behind the leader and then 20 seconds ahead of Jaden Russell.
Just looking for the pit stop times there. All pretty good. I think Dyson doing those extra couple of laps meant that he was able to put in a little less fuel, so that's possibly why his pit stop was a bit shorter. But yeah, everyone 8 seconds for fuel only, and sort of 14 seconds onwards for 4 tyres.
I think Darren Lobbs might have got some repairs done to his car because he was stationary for a fair bit of time. He was stationary for 18 seconds. So I think he just got some repairs done to that car because he didn't change his tyres from what I could see. So
I think so. I think he just got his bit of damage repaired. Dyson having a bit of a blink.
Yeah, Dyson had a big moment getting past Jamie Nankervis and Paul Jackson that last lap around. Jackson and Nankervis are now battling out on track side by side as they get up towards the S's, and Jackson decides to just let the throttle breathe a little bit and let Jamie up through there. Probably the wiser move there because you can go side by side up through the S's, but it's not recommended if you want to finish the race.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Look at this. Oh, this is hard when you got the lap cars battling each other, and then this lap cars coming through as we're picking their way through as well. I thought we were going to see 3 wide into the entry of the bus stop there, but it all worked out.
Yeah, that was very, very close between those cars. It's Josh Micklemore, Darren Lobb, and Ruben Phelps up there at the moment. Those 3 battling for P8, 9, and 10 as it stands. So they are really, really going at it at the moment. That's probably the closest battle we got out on track.
Yeah, they're trying to battle each other, and then lead lap cars coming through. They're doing a pretty good job of trying to get out of the way.
It's that art of getting out of the way but not losing a position, and that's probably one of the hardest things you can do. Lobb has a big lock up there. Big lock up into turn 1. Very, very close there for Paul Jackson. He did a great job of saving that one. And Ruben Phelps just snuck it through there as well. That was close.
Let's have a look at that one, eh?
You can always tell when it's a bit sketchy when all of us are going way in the commentary box. But big lock up for Lobb there, and it's just easy to do in this corner. And Jackson did a great job of avoiding that one. Just absolute beautiful situational awareness there. And Ruben as well, just on that inside. That could have been a really nasty accident, but all the drivers were absolutely on it there.
And Jackson and Nankervis have cleared the lead lap cars and back to battling each other again.
The immortal struggle goes on and on and on. Meanwhile, it's Brendan Hobson has just set the fastest lap of a 1:10.3. So the the two at the front are constantly trying to see who's the fastest. They're doing the old fastest lap measuring contest, and they're changing it each and every lap. It's great to see. But it is good for Hobson because he's managed to pull out a 4.2 second lead over Dyson. So he is really flying at the moment. And it's great to see some of these boys on the road courses because we've seen what Dyson can do. And we know how quick he is. And Hobson, he had a little bit of a rough start to the season, I think, at Kota. I think it was. He just sort of was a bit disappointed with his performance there. He was a bit off. But after that, he sort of nailed it together in this car, and he has been absolutely on it and really taking the fight to Andrew Dyson.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch the whole season, the battle between Hobson and Dyson. Two very well established and very good road racers. So those two are always going to be up near the front with road courses in this car.
As we've got a battle as well going on a little bit further down the pack with Gary Wellman and Lachlan Urquio at the moment. Wellman is doing his best to defend against Lockie. Wellman's going to want to try and get a good finish tonight. If he can manage to get this car home in a good spot tonight, it's going to be useful for the chase. And just going into Daytona, it's just going to be a little bit handy. Hobson just set a 1:10.2, absolutely smashing the best lap this time round. Hobson is going hell for leather as it stands, so really, really cool to see those laps, and that is a very fast lap in this car at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, I think we might see a 109 before the end of the night. Maybe it's just getting faster and faster. Should we do a ride on board with him?
I think we should do so.
We'll
have a nice ride on board as we come down to turn one, getting down here, just getting the braking right, just behind. Is that Skurlock? I think.
Yeah, that's right. It is Skurlock in front.
Up through the S's here, and you can see how narrow it gets up over this crest of the hill as well. And it's always scary coming up through here because you never know if there's a car spun in front of you. It's very easy to collect them. Coming down the straight now towards the bus stop. Skurlock gets out the way. The bus stop going to clatter over those curves, and you'll see the car jump, and jump as they go across the curves. It's a big rough ride, and the steering wheel will be shaking in your hands as you come into the loop, the carousel sort of corner. Very nice curvature on the road, and really helps the car turn. It's got a little bit of an angle to it as well. Down towards turn 6. This corner is nice as well. It's got the road turns in there, drops down a little bit. The car will turn in nicely. Same through turn 7 as well. Just the road will help you turn through there as there's that little bit of tilt on the road, and it just helps the car get through there nicely. And you can just see how sweeping this track is, and Hobson doing a beautiful lap there. A little bit off his fastest lap time, but still absolutely going for a 1 minute 10.6 there from Hobson on that last lap.
It just looks fast, doesn't it? Just hustling it around the track, and it just looks fast.
It's a track I love, and I'd say I'm not bad at, but watching on board with these guys, you sort of go, yeah, I'm not that quick.
So just having a look through timing data. I think we've got the battle for 12th position. 0.3 of a second between these two. Other than that, I think it's pretty well spread out. Lockie seems to be having a bit of network issues there, cutting in and out.
A little bit of a blink issue there, which is never fun. Just up ahead of them as well is Riley Curtis in 11th, and Riley's having a solid run after that big scary moment across the bus stop. He's running up in P11 at the moment, gained 10 positions in this race, so he'll be pretty chuffed with that one. Managed to keep the car relatively unscathed in that early incident as well, and paid him as well for Riley.
Yeah, Riley was looking pretty good in practice, looking pretty fast and pretty racy, so if he can hopefully bring it home and 11th will chase down Ruben for 10th. I think he's got 3.6 seconds ahead to Ruben.
It's got a bit of a gap to Ruben, and his lap times are a little bit faster than Ruben as well, so he's got that chance. He's just got to get those consecutive laps, but with only 3 laps to go, he is running out of time, so it's not long until this race has run its course here at the Glen. Thank everybody for joining us tonight as well. Big thank you to all of you for coming and watching tonight, and watching in the future as well, and watching the replays. Always appreciated. Thank you very much for that one. So it is still Hobson in the lead. Good 4 seconds ahead of Dyson at the moment. Just keeping that gap, managing that gap nicely. Neil Pearson, that gamble for fresh tyres did not pay off. He is sort of still setting sort of times in the 1:11s. So he has set a slightly faster lap time on those fresher tyres than he did on the older set, so they have been somewhat useful, but not really gaining any time over the leaders. Jaden Russell sits in 4th position with Daniel Hederscheid in 5th position. 6th is Edward Foster. 7th, Michael Skurlock. 8th is Micklemore. Darren Lobbs in 10th, and Ruben Phelps rounds out the top 10 at the moment.
I'm just keeping an eye on this battle between Gary and Lachlan. Gary's actually got a little bit of a gap again now, so I think Lachlan probably used his tyres.
Yeah, I wonder if he also seems to be having that little bit of connectivity trouble, and I wonder if he's just got them a little bit hot. We've seen that in the past as well with these tyres, is if you get them a little bit hot, you need a lap or two just to cool them down a little bit, and sometimes, especially on a track like this, the right side can get a little bit warm through some of those fast corners, and it can just get a little bit uncomfortable, and cause the car just to get a little bit squirrely. And then you just need to give it a lap or two just to let them settle down again, and then you can go back to pushing. But yeah, that gap has indeed grown a little bit.
I can tell you what though, Lachlan wasn't mucking around. He was really pushing it there a couple of laps ago, coming out of the outer loop and getting out over that ripple strip and doing a Shane Van Gisbergen drive style in drifting.
Well, it's always good if you can do that one, and if you can hold the car, it's even better. Meanwhile, we have got Hobson crossing the line to start the final lap. The white flag will go out, and it is the final lap here, which is absolutely blown by this race. I must say, it has gone by nice and quickly tonight, and Hobson just has to make it around another 2 miles of track now, or just a little bit less as he clears the top of the hill. Probably about half a mile, probably about one and a bit miles left now of the track as he's halfway round. Coming down to the bus stop for the final time tonight. Clips the curb, absolutely nails it across there. Beautiful jump out river strip, absolutely taking a hammering the car, screeching across there as he comes into the outer loop for the final time. Takes a nice wide run off. Will he be able to set a faster lap than he has previously? He's just behind Foster at the moment. Foster is the last car on the lead lap at the moment in P6. So a good recovery drive from Foster. He'll be pretty happy about that. But Hobson is coming out of the final corner for the final time tonight. Gets out across the line and takes the checkered flag. It is Brenton Hobson taking the win here at Watkins Glen. A fantastic job. Andrew Dyson comes home in 2nd position, with Neil Pearson now a little bit further back in 3rd. A solid run from Neil. Didn't quite pay off with the tyres, but he'll be... the top 3 is always good. Getting on the podium is always a nice feeling. So he's going to come across the line now. Then just a little bit further back, we've got Jaden Russell and Daniel Hederscheid, who are next to cross the line. Jaden Russell working that pit stop in nicely and setting some good lap times to jump ahead of Daniel Hederscheid and just get up into P4. 7 positions gained during this race. A very strong run from him. Comes around the final corner and is going to come across the line and claim P4 for himself, with Daniel Hedershide in 5th position. And then it will be Foster coming home across the line. Final car to cross the line in P6. Brendan Hobson, absolute mega run tonight, just leading there from start to finish, and just the man that nobody could really touch tonight.
Yeah, he just drove away with it tonight, didn't he? But I mean to say, you'd have to say he is a road race specialist.
Yeah, absolutely, and Synergy Sim Racing SSR, really strong team as well, and it'll be pretty tough with having J Russ up there in P4 as well. So, both the cars in the top 5 tonight, and they're going to be stoked about that. And Hobson is going to be celebrating hard with that one, using up those rear tyres, seeing if he can actually get some wear out of them. Probably the engine will go before the tyres. But another strong showing from DPR as well. Dyson taking out 2nd with Neil Pearson in 3rd. They're going to be very happy with that finish too. I think Dyson might have actually run out of fuel on that final lap, so I think he's just trying to nurse it into the pit lane, but it looks like he ran out of fuel on that final lap.
Yeah, it's definitely the slowest car coming into pit lane.
So yeah, Dyson was absolutely on the bubble for the for fuel, obviously, but Hobson's still got plenty left, so he'll be he was happy with that. He had enough in there to absolutely use up every last drop by giving a great victory burnout all the way down the start finish straight. Biggest gainer of the night was Riley Curtis with 10 positions gained in P11. Darren Lobb in P9 with 9 positions gained. So good job from Lobb as well. Let's just run through the finishing order. But again, so it was Brendan Hobson taking the victory and the fastest lap as well as pole position. So taking it all tonight for Hobson. Dyson came home in 2nd with Pearson in 3rd, 4th for Russell, Hedershide in 5th, 6th for Foster, Skurlock in 7th, 8th for Micklemore, 9th for Lobb, and Phelps in 10th. And we scroll over the page, and it is Riley Curtis in 11th for Gary Wellman coming home in 12th. He's going to be pretty happy with that one. That's going to help the chase out for him. Lachlan Okio up into 13th position. Maddie Ray starting 14th, finishing 14th, not gaining a position in this race. A rare feat for Maddie Ray. Paul Jackson, strong race from him. 8 positions gained, 15th spot at the end of that one. Jamie Nankervis in 16th. Tristan Koch came home in 17th. Norman Clark managed to limp home in 18th position, 13 laps down, unfortunately for him, after that big accident. Jason Martin in 19th place, Noddy Tompkins 21st for Dornack, Stevie Dubb in 22nd. Then it was Luke Traher and Dave Douglas out at the early stages of the race. We lost a lot of cars early on in that race, unfortunately.
Yeah, as one of the comments was earlier on, typical Watkins Glen shunt, which is so true.
Very, very true. So what we might do is we're going to grab up our 3rd place finisher for DPR, the red flavoured DPR car, the number 9 of Mr. Neil Pearson. Neil, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on the podium finish, P3 here tonight at Watkins Glen.
Thanks, Carl.
Always good to have you up here in the booth. Always nice to speak to you after a race. Pretty solid run for you there. We saw just sort of not quite on the pace of the leaders tonight, but sort of solidly in P3 at least for yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty much how it comes to these road courses, isn't it? Those two just disappear into the ether, and I just left there to roll around.
Yeah, a very lonely sort of piggy in the middle position. It was sort of you're sort of 20 seconds behind the leaders, and then 20 seconds in front of another sort of 20 odd seconds ahead of Jaden Russell behind you. So it's sort of very lonely little race for yourself. We saw you take some tyres, obviously. Was that a mistake of not clicking the box, or was it a little bit of a gamble?
I just wanted to see what it would do, just out of interest, because I I saw the gap behind, and I wasn't going to lose the spot from it. So I thought, let's give it a go and see what happens. And it was terrible.
Yeah, that was my next question. I was going to ask, how did it go? Because it didn't look like it paid off that much.
No, it did not. I had to really fix my brake bias after the stop because it just was locking the rears, I guess, with the lower fuel as well. And yeah, it wasn't worth it. And if the race was a bit longer, maybe it could have been, but it's all good.
It is one of those things we've seen with this new generation of car. These tyres seem to last longer than the engines even. They just keep going on and on and on. But solid run from yourself, and obviously chase wise set now for the chase. Drop rounds are done. This is going to move you up into third in the chase at least for now. So you must be pretty happy with that, and looking forward to getting on into the final 10 races.
Yeah, that's it. It's just basically it's just kind of at the moment we're in this limbo where we're just waiting for the chase to start and just rolling around, get the points to make sure we start up as high as we can, and then once the chase starts, I think the real competition is going to start.
Oh, absolutely. Look, congratulations tonight on a solid P3. Thanks for giving us a little bit of entertainment and stuff to talk about with the tyre change at least. So giving us something to watch and look at. But before
You're
I let you
welcome.
go, the usual thing of shout and low out to all those people out there, all the adoring fans and the sponsors and things like that, Mr. Pearson.
Yeah, all the fans. Yeah, just you guys, Performance Stream for the stream, ANZCAR for the racing, and then just all the team stuff, simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Max Mechanical, Phoenix Smokers, NP Designs for the paints, and yeah, just the guys just cruising around having some fun.
Congratulations, Neil. I'm sure we'll chat to you again sometime soon. But until then, best of luck, and we'll see you again in the booth soon.
Yeah, Daytona next week. That's always a lottery, so it should be
Yeah,
fun.
who knows what's going to happen there?
That's exactly right.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks.
Next up, we will grab up the second place finisher for DPR, the orange flavour of car this time round. It is Andrew Dyson in the 41. Mr. Andrew Dyson, welcome back to the booth and congratulations on a P2 tonight.
Hey lads, how you going? Thanks, man.
Not bad, not bad. Look, I'd say relatively easy race for you. I mean, it wasn't. You were absolutely hustling that car. We saw that in the lap times. You very much were trying your best to catch up. But just looked like Hobson just had a little bit over you tonight.
Yeah, same. I think same thing as the last road race, man. I mean, just it took me half the race to really work out what I was doing, and from there it wasn't too bad. But like catching people is just it's pretty difficult, man. So I tried my best, but in the end it was a bit of a hot lap competition, I guess. But not too bad, not too bad. Good race, good to come second.
Yeah, it's good not to win for once. That's always a nice feeling. The hot lap competition. I mean, look, you were trading battle of lap times there for a long time. We saw it a fair few times. You two swapping fastest laps again and again, and just absolutely pushing it and hustling the car around. You really looked to be on the sort of edge out there.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Earlier in the year you had to drive it so smooth and treat it real gentle with kid gloves and be super careful, and now it's like you can get stuck right into it, and that's pretty cool, man. So it translates over to looking cool on the broadcast too, so that's a good thing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, looking cool is half the battle. If you can look cool, then it doesn't matter how fast you're going.
Yeah, that's what I reckon.
Exactly, that's what Go Faster Stripes are for. Look, it was a solid run from you tonight, and obviously we're getting into the penultimate round before the chase, of course. You're pretty much solidly up there in first position, so it's been a good regular season for yourself, and with this strong finish tonight, obviously we're heading off to Daytona, and that's an absolute lottery, but it's looking very much like you're not going to drop from that first position, so it's been a really strong season for yourself.
Yeah, it's good, man, and I'm glad the last race is Daytona and it's not a chase race, so that's cool, although I think we have to get through Talladega again, but see how we go with that. But yeah, it's cool to have a relatively clean season for the most part. I mean, had a few races where I did well where I didn't expect to, and then there was races where I probably expected to do better, and I didn't. But the main thing is, like, I was glad to just get a lot of races in, even though the season's not finished yet. I've been glad to get a lot of races where I've been able to share my data, because that's been my main motivation, and hopefully along the way I've been able to make some people not part of this league look stupid or feel stupid, so that show them that they tried to take me out and they didn't, and it's highly satisfying for me.
No, look, congratulations tonight, Dyson. A really good run from you, and it was a very solid race from yourself. Good luck next time out at Daytona, but the usual thing of shout out and love to all those adoring fans and the adoring sponsors as well for all that lovely airtime you give them.
Yeah, thanks, man. Looking forward to going fast and turning left and doing all the drafting and the bumping and stuff. Well, not too much bumping, hopefully. Only nose to tail. But yeah, thanks to South Elliston Hoist, Benmax Mechanicals, Phoenix Smokers, and Simrics.com. Shout out to all you lads who put this on. And yeah, looking forward to having a crack at this last 10 race business once again. So it should be cool.
Hopefully, this time at Daytona, you can finish the race with more than like one panel on the car as well.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I don't mind as long as I finish up the front. That's all right.
As long as you win, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, why spoil all the excitement?
Yeah, I mean, we could kick it off again. I don't know. I hate to say this, man, but is Josh coming back from overseas for next week or not? I don't know. No, he's all right. It's all good. We're all good now.
It will be exciting. We look forward to it. Thank you so much, Daiso, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again very shortly.
All good, lads. See you later.
And finally, for Synergy Sim Racing, the number 88, it is Mr. Brenton Hobbo Hobson. Hobbo, welcome back to the broadcast booth, and congratulations on a very strong victory here at Watkins Glen.
Thanks, Carl. Yeah, that was a good one. How are you going?
Yeah, not too bad. That was a pretty entertaining race. Obviously, it was a bit chaotic at the start. Luckily, you were out front and you didn't get involved in that. But I imagine you probably saw a bit of smoke in the old mirror and just kept on driving.
Yeah, I was in Discord with Josh and Jason and J Russ as well, and they certainly said about it. I didn't see it. I didn't know I didn't see it in my mirror or anything. But yeah, they said, "Oh no, we're all dead." It was, but yeah, it was a big one. I went back and had a look after the race was finished, and yeah, that's a proper wreck, a proper Watkins Glen sort of wreck, that one on the first lap. So that sucks. I mean, it took out a heap of cars, didn't it? So it's not what we want to see. I mean, the road racing side of stuff spreads out a lot as it is already. So we want to see everyone, keeping it clean and having a good car so they can race each other. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that, especially here between the Armco barriers.
That's it. I mean, Moses himself, Mr. Jaden Russell, just the seas parted for him. He just came right down the middle and made his way through there nicely. So that's good for a team perspective. I mean, 2 cars in the top 5 tonight.
He couldn't believe it. That's great. Like, he's only just got his big boy pants and come up here to run with us, and with his A license or whatever it is that he needs on road to be able to be eligible. It's been all season that he hasn't had it, so he's finally turned up and he's got a top 5. So yeah, he better stick with it. He's obviously pretty handy on the road side. So I mean, he's a very good driver, just all round talented driver. So no surprise to me that he had a good run tonight. I don't think he probably qualified as well as he perhaps could have, but obviously a good result in the race. Missed the trouble there on the first lap and went about his business. So it's good to see him get a good result here in the Cup Series.
And speaking about going about business, I mean, you were all business tonight. Pole position, fastest lap, and the win tonight. You did it all out there, and you pretty much led every lap bar one.
Yeah. I just went into practice, and I think I figured out like the cold tire, like how to drive the cold tire well. So I was able to push pretty well early in the race and build a bit of a gap, and then after that, I was pretty home free unless I made any mistakes. But Daiso certainly figured it out. A few laps into the race or towards the end, he got better and he was able to go with me. So I'm glad that I managed to gap away when I did, because I was worried that if he stuck with me, that he'd end up being a threat towards the end. He's pretty good on tyres, and he's pretty handy just on road courses in general. So I wanted to try and break him early on. It's pretty tough around here with the draft, so I went hard early and tried to build that gap. And yeah, like I said, I'm glad I did. It worked out in the end. It meant that I didn't have to have too much pressure all the way to the finish and just try and hit my marks. The car was not that good to drive. Like, the tyres actually felt like they were getting a lot worse, but the car was still sort of getting quicker, which we see with the tyre model on these at the minute. So it was a bit of a frustrating race because I didn't feel like I could go faster, but you sort of still did. It was hard to drive at the end. So yeah, I'm happy with the result, happy with everything that went our way tonight. Like you said, sweep everything, and it's good for confidence and good for points.
Absolutely, and you say it was a hard car to drive. We were on board with you for a few laps, and we were just sort of chatting away at just how quick it was. We're just going, yeah, could not drive that quick around the Glen in this car. You absolutely nailed it, and it was fun watching you trade fastest laps with Dyson as well. You guys were absolutely on it up there. 1:10.2 for yourself at the end of that one. A ridiculously quick lap here at the Glen in this car. So look, you absolutely had it sorted tonight. Obviously, as well, chase wise. It's good news for you as well, coming home second in the chase overall at the moment. So you're looking good for that one. So that's going to be exciting once we get into those final 10 races. Of course, we've got Daytona coming up next. Will we be seeing you at the Super Speedway?
We'll wait and see. I mean, obviously, I'm running in the Supercars E Series, so it's been taking up a lot of my time and my focus at the minute. So this hasn't been my priority. I've sort of just turned up for the ones that I felt comfortable that I could come and race at. The Super Speedway stuff isn't exactly difficult for like as in driving. It's just go fast and hope you don't get in the big one, really. So
Yeah.
there's a good chance I'll probably turn up for that. I mean, I wanted to try and made it into the chase now, so I sort of got to commit to trying to run through the whole chase as well and have a crack at the title. So fingers crossed I don't miss any more. I mean, I missed a couple of races there over a few weeks. I got very frustrated with the car, to be honest. I had about 2 or 3 DNFs in a row on the mile and a half stuff and just got fed up with it and decided not to come back for a couple. So, yeah, hopefully it's been enough of a break to rejuvenate my interest and get me keen to actually have a proper full-on crack at it. But I mean, the mile and a half package for me right now is just horrible. So we're not going to be that competitive, I don't think, across. I don't even know what the 10 races are, what tracks they are. But if there's enough of those, middle range ovals, then going to be in a bit of trouble, I think. But either way, we'll come back and have a crack. I'll probably turn up next week. Like I said, it's not one that requires any practice or any of that sort of stuff. So
Just go fast.
Exactly.
I'll just give you the rundown on the chase. It's Darlington, Kansas, Bristol, Texas, Talladega, Charlotte Roval, Las Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville, and to round it out, it's at Phoenix.
Yeah, so I'll probably go right at Phoenix, and that's about it. So it's not going to be. It's a very unfriendly. I thought it was a very unfriendly run home for me. With as far as my strengths and stuff go. I mean, Charlotte's a road course, but it's just the worst road course in the world, and I hate it. And other than that, we've got not a lot. Like the Martinsville is a short track. I've been very good on short tracks, but it's really. It's about as dangerous as Daytona, that place. So,
and there's Bristol. You can't forget Bristol. That's always good.
Equally as dangerous. They're sort of they are short tracks by their very definition, but they're not the sort of short tracks that probably are in my wheelhouse. I'm much better on those ones that sort of race like a short track, but they're a bit bigger. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'll be realistic about it. I mean, I'm not that good on those middle range ovals, like I said, and the ones that aren't middle range ovals are a bit of a crapshoot. So we'll see what happens. You need good luck as well. You've got to be there, put yourself in position, and you need some good luck too. So it's not to say it's not possible. I've certainly shown that I can do it, but that's a pretty tough run home for me. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Do our best.
We look forward to the challenge. Before we let you go tonight, though, of course, a big shout out to all those adoring fans and most of all the adoring sponsors who have got some lovely screen time tonight of the car.
Yeah, I think I forgot to change my paint this week, so I think that it's the first time we run a road course with the blue all season. So shout out to Wave Runner Performance Centre, the main sponsor on the car this week, and Smith & Sons, who would normally be on the car on the road courses, DGD Customs and all the others that are on the car as well, and support the team. And obviously, shout out to the team as well. J. Russ here tonight, like I said already, had a good race. Awesome to see him have a good result in the Cup Series. And shout out to everyone involved in the league that help make it all happen every week for us to come and have some fun. And of course, to you fine people up here that make an entertaining broadcast for everybody to watch. Appreciate it.
We try our best. We can't do it without the stuff out on track. Thank you so much, Hobbo. We look forward to catching up with you again soon.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Brenton Hobson there, the winner of tonight's race, and currently sitting second in the chase. And one of those strong cars going in. It's going to be exciting for that coming up. But next time out, it is Daytona, the final race of the regular season. So that's that final chance for a few of those drivers to get into the top 10 for the chase. Will we see 11 cars in the chase this season again? maybe a bit tricky, but you never know what's going to happen. But tonight at Watkins Glen, we are all finished up. So, Mark, your little final thoughts on the race.
Very interesting. Like Brenton said there, we're going into the chase in 2 weeks. He's not confident, but he's had a good season. I still wouldn't count him out for the championship. And the way he showed a clean set of heels tonight to everyone, it's definitely Gauntlets down and come catch me.
Very much so. He's been an absolute standout this season and really has come on leaps and bounds as well. He's really sort of been improving week in and week out, and of course getting that breakout win. I think it was Richmond for his first time to taking that win. So he's definitely been improving all year round. It's been great to watch. Matt, your little final thoughts and how do you find that one?
Probably, if I could sum it up in one word, it was clinical in the top three. I think the top three did, I think, what we expected them to do. Good to wasn't actually wrong choice of words there. I was going to say good to see a good big shunt at the start of this one again, but we haven't seen one of those for a while. But it's probably not a good thing to see. But that's probably one of the bigger wrecks that we've had for a while, unfortunately. That took out a number of good cars there. So and then certainly split the field up as well. So it sort of meant that there wasn't really any competition for those top three cars. But interesting to hear the comments of the drivers. Heading into the chase, everything resets. Got to start again. Got to lift yourself up again and get into it. And it's interesting to hear that Hobbo's, while confident, is not 100% confident with those tracks. So we'll have to wait and see.
So it's going to be some interesting racing coming up, and of course, as I say, final race of the regular season coming up on the 17th, and that is Daytona. So I hope you can join us for Daytona here on Performance E-Streaming, and of course on the ANZCAR Facebook page. Big thank you to everybody tonight. Big thank you to Mr. Mark Johansson and Maddie Hunter on the cameras. I am, as ever, Carl Wilkinson with you, and we'll wish you a good night, and we'll see you next time out for Daytona.